Hello and welcome to our Culture magazine on I-24 News, where we bring you the best from the world of entertainment and art. Today on our program, a new exhibition showcases Leonardo da Vinci's genius in a modern way. New trends in women's spring fashion. And the final stretch of this year's Oscar campaigns. But let's begin with some cultural headlines. Adam Driver of HBO's hit series Girls is said to be close to signing on to play the villain in J.J. Abrams' upcoming Star Wars Episode 7. Driver is the first cast member to be revealed for this highly anticipated sequel, set to arrive in theaters in December 2015. His character is said to be in the vein of iconic Star Wars bad guy Darth Vader. High level of secrecy surrounds the project, and insiders believe that most of the top casting is in advanced stages and will likely be announced in the next month. It could include members of the original Star Wars cast, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher. Filming will start in London in the spring, and some actors will be required to begin their physical and Jedi training soon. Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber is experiencing something very unfamiliar to him, the closing of a show. His latest musical, Stephen Ward, which opened to mixed reviews in London in December and has had mediocre ticket sales ever since, will close on March 29th. The show is based on a real-life scandal when, at the height of the Cold War, it was discovered that John Profumo, the Secretary of State for War, had a mistress in common with a Soviet diplomat. Lloyd Webber adapted the story to a musical comedy, including a hula hoop set piece and a party scene with a whip-wielding dominatrix. For some reason, audiences were not impressed. Disney Studios has unveiled a service that aims to make collecting its films easier. The free service, called Disney Movies Anywhere, will allow consumers to buy a Disney, Marvel, or Pixar movie once and watch it an unlimited number of times on any web-ready TV, mobile device, or computer. Disney has held out launching a cloud storage service, fearing that families, Disney's core audience, were not ready to embrace the technology. However, with consumers pulling away from DVDs, the service is a new way for them to rebuild their Disney library. The service is available to American consumers for now through Apple's iTunes Store. Leonardo da Vinci's many talents are well known, but some of his works are still shrouded in mystery. What would his innovative machines look like when brought to life? What were the original colors of the Mona Lisa? A new exhibit in Tel Aviv seeks to answer these questions and others by bringing the master's ideas to life. Sandy Fotis went for a visit.
Artist, scientist, engineer, poet, architect, philosopher, writer. Leonardo da Vinci was a man of many talents. The Da Vinci Alive exhibition in Tel Aviv lets visitors discover the many facets of the Renaissance master in a very original way. First up, the machines section. Italian experts used the master's writings and sketches to produce inventions da Vinci only dreamed of realizing. A helicopter, a tank, the parachute, imagined by da Vinci centuries ago.
As technical director, I appreciate Leonardo da Vinci even more than the others, because I always think about the technical side. And when I see the things he planned so long ago, I'm very impressed.
Both young and old can discover the artist's avant-garde ideas in playful ways. Visitors can play with the constructed mechanisms or learn through interactive displays teeming with information. The next stage of the exhibition sweeps the audience into Da Vinci's mysterious world through giant screens and play of light and sound.
I feel that I'm learning much more from just having this experience in such a way that it's friendly and easy and nice to understand. It's wonderful.
The secrets behind the artist's most famous work, the Mona Lisa, are revealed. For example, her eyes and smile were originally different, and Da Vinci also changed the position of the fingers in the composition.
What really impressed me is to find out the story behind the Mona Lisa. You really see the details in a very precise manner. These are things I didn't see when I had the opportunity to see the real Mona Lisa at the Louvre in Paris.
Removing different varnishes in restoration attempts, the photographs reveal the painting as it was seen when it was first unveiled. The Da Vinci exhibition is a big success in Israel, and the organizers hope it will soon be seen in other venues worldwide.
The Israeli opera seeks to make its craft more accessible to the Israeli public. Based in Tel Aviv, the Opera House brings educational programs and children's performances to locations across the country. This year, the crew and cast headed to the northern city of Akko and its Crusader period castles. Let's take a look.
As you descend down the stairway that leads to Old Akko's recovered city, every step takes you further down history. Considered one of the most diverse cities in Israel with its Arab-Israeli population and a history dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, Akko offers a great setting for cultural events and the performing arts. This year, the Israeli Opera is bringing a new addition to the city, a weekend of Mozart's celebration to follow the Masada festival.
We are currently at the Hospitaller Fortress, one of the most beautiful sites we know in Israel. The fortress was declared by UNESCO as a World Cultural Heritage Site.
Don Giovanni, Mozart's Requiem, and the Magic Flute will all fill the ancient grounds of Akko this April for a weekend of opera and a taste of history. Don Giovanni will be held under the stars in the Knight's Courtyard. Mozart's final work, the Requiem, will take place at the Crusaders' Courtyard, and the family-friendly Magic Flute, to be performed in Hebrew, will offer the younger crowd an excellent introduction to the opera.
We are bringing the opera to this very special place so that people can also have a taste of its uniqueness. I think by doing this, we have secured our place in heaven.
The Crusader Knights Fortress and Old City Tunnels, now a museum, are a magnet for local and international crowds. This spring, the museum will transform into a living history exhibit that will make the Crusaders' castle come to life. Visitors will witness medieval entertainment with actors, musicians, and swordplay, and every performance will be preceded by a lavish feast in the Knights Fortress. Will the ancient city's magic live up to the expectations of Masada? The Israeli opera seems hopeful.
In just a bit, we'll see the best of this year's women's spring fashion. But first, some cultural highlights from around the world.
Until the 18th century, most painters mostly followed similar classic artistic patterns. Spanish artist Goya was very different and was very much ahead of his time. He was one of the first to portray the horrors of the war without glorifying them. In Paris, a new exhibition, Goya and Modernity, is dedicated to showing lesser-known work of the Spanish master. The exhibit presents Goya, more traditional work in oil paintings, but also a series of engravings which are more personal. Discover Francisco de Goya at the Pinacoteca in Paris until March 16th. Christie's putting kinetic art back in the conversation. Balls, nails, rods, and other unusual shapes come alive for Turn Me On, an exhibition at Christie's Mayfair Gallery in London. Featuring work dating from the 50s to early 70s, the famous auction house wanted to gather works that reflect the experimental artistic tendencies of the post-war period. These works had not been presented in the British capital for over 40 years. Rediscover this forgotten art until April 7th. The Fondation Mapfre is hosting a new exhibition featuring works of Picasso from institutions around the world. Bringing together countless canvases, drawings, prints, and more than a dozen of the artist's palettes, the museum will show how Picasso's own studio became a place where his art, life, and work intertwine. Picasso and Studio will run at the Sales Recoletos until May 11th.
This season, fashion designers are putting a twist on traditional spring pastels. The 2014 leading campaigns of many brands are more theatrical than ever, with bold expressions, new textures, vivid colors, and new faces. Michal Divon takes a look at some of this spring's most inspiring campaigns.
Inspired by a mixture of blooming flowers, travels abroad, animals, and life in the fast lane, designers are using new color and fabric to refresh the earthy tones of winter and create a distinct spring-summer look. This season is all about balance. Femininity and the floral dress have made a comeback, with brands like Carven introducing flowered embroidery and nature-inspired designs. Their longtime romance with Dutch artist Vivian Sassen continues, and the garden is once again a muse for the spring-summer campaign. Photographer Steven Meisel takes us on a colorful adventure with Prada and a group of the most in-demand models of the season, all brightly attired in the brand's latest collection. The campaign portrays a series of activities, from a tennis match to a concert to a night at the opera. To balance the classy, the floral, and the real-life inspired lines, Kenzo teamed up once again with toilet paper for a new project that plunges the viewer into a fantasy world. With mesmerizing marine elements and bursting color, model and actress Devon Oki alongside Paul Bosch ride on giant fish to present a new wave of seasoned surrealism. And finally, Italian label Trussardi introduces its new model this spring. These furry faces were photographed by artist William Wegman, well known for creating canine compositions. The Trussardi Greyhound are dressed this season in iconic clothes and accessories most humans can only dream of.
It's time again for our weekly segment with Shahar Peled, Off Screen. Shahar.
Hi, Odin.
So lovely.
Thank you. Well, today we talk about the Oscars, of course.
Of course.
And what's happening behind the scenes there. Let's explain how it works. Okay?
Right.
The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences consists of almost 6,000 members. 22% are actors and actresses. The rest are from the different branch of the film industry. You can become a member if you have a competitive nomination or if you made a significant contribution to the film industry. New memberships are chosen every year. So I think we have a chance to think what we're doing here is a significant contribution to film productions worldwide.
Next year they'll have to speak nicely to us.
We'll
if they
work
wanna
on
win.
that,
Yeah.
yes. So it means that film productions and production companies have to influence, let's say, these voters, these 6,000 potential voters, and they can influence them, and that's what they do. Most famous, let's say, extreme attempts come from the Weinsteins. This year they have not such significant films, Philomena, the Mandela biopic, and The Butler, but it
But they're
doesn't keep
still
them
trying.
from trying, exactly. So they're sending their talents everywhere, and they've even reached the Pope. They sent Philomena Lee, the inspiration of their film Philomena, to meet Pope Francis in the Vatican.
Wow.
This was amazing. It caught much attention, much media attention, and hopefully potential voters' attention. They're also sending their many actors and actresses all over primetime shows, of course. Ellen, Queen Latifah, CBS, Piers Morgan, they were all over the place. We even got to see U2, who perform Ordinary Love, from the soundtrack of Mandela biopic. They were the first ever musical act in the first ever show of Jimmy Fallon in The Tonight Show. So that was pretty impressive. They're trying. They're not the only ones who are trying, though. We've got also Fox Searchlight with their
Yes.
12 Years a Slave.
Right.
It's a show winner, but still they're trying. They're sending, for example, their nominee for Best Supporting Actress, Lupita Nyong'o, who has a fierce fight with Jennifer Lawrence from American Hustle, to educate audiences about her personal story. She was actually in the same week, both in Conan, Ellen, and David Letterman,
Really?
all in the same week. So she's working very hard on her nomination.
I did see the Ellen interview.
Yeah, which is great.
It was fine, except that I have to say Ellen came across. She wasn't at her best,
Yes,
I think.
so too. But she's
Lupita
interviewing
was
so
great.
many nominees, so we can't hold her for that. Anyway, they also made a beautiful featurette, Fox Searchlight, with the descendants of Solomon Northup, the hero of. It's based on a true story, 12 Years a Slave. So they gathered 5 generations of his family from all across the United States. It was very nice to see. There were also posters of the film with a sort of logo, It's Time. I'm not sure time for what,
Yeah,
but
well,
maybe
that's
it's time to choose a serious film about slavery.
Oh, you think you're very kind.
Yes,
You're very kind.
maybe, but let's wait and see. Anyway, they keep trying all the time.
Right. I think that if we think back, one of the times that I remember that had the most effect was when Shakespeare in Love was
Right. There was a very big
won,
campaign
and it had, because there were great films that year, and that was like a mediocre film sort of,
And it surprised
and
everyone.
it really worked.
Yes,
So
so
we'll see how it
works here.
this year.
Absolutely.
All right.
Gravity,
thank you,
do we have time for one?
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
so
Quickly.
Gravity, stars of Gravity, we don't see them that much, but maybe that's because Sandra Bullock knows she doesn't stand a chance against Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
I'm not worried for her, though, because she has a 70 million profit revenue from Gravity. So, there's no losers
Sandra
in America.
Bullock is doing well.
Absolutely. So
Good
we're
for
not
her.
worried for her.
Thank you, Shah.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us as well. I hope you enjoyed watching our show. Make sure to join us again next week. Bye-bye.